The familiar roar of a plane landing at Manila's International Airport on March 11, 2025, belied the extraordinary scene about to unfold. Former President Rodrigo Duterte, a man accustomed to the adulation of crowds and the deference of power, stepped off his flight from Hong Kong, only to be met by the stern faces of waiting authorities. The news rippled through the nation like a shockwave. Duterte was under arrest. Accused of crimes against humanity by the International Criminal Court, the man who had once held the highest office in the land was now subject to the same laws he had so often seemed to stand above. As Duterte was swiftly taken into custody, the weight of the moment hung heavy in the air. The image of Duterte, once the untouchable strongman being led away by authorities, was a stark reminder that no one, not even a president, is above the law. At the heart of Duterte's arrest lay a chilling accusation: crimes against humanity. The ICC warrant, issued in secrecy and executed with precision, detailed allegations of murder committed between November 1, 2011 and March 16, 2019. This period encompassed Duterte's time as mayor of Davao City and his early years as president, a time when his brutal war on drugs claimed the lives of thousands of Filipinos. The court alleged that Duterte, through his words and actions, had created a climate of fear and permissiveness that emboldened security forces to carry out extrajudicial killings with virtual impunity. Victims' families, human rights groups, and international observers had long sounded the alarm about the mounting death toll, but Duterte remained defiant, even boasting about his role in the bloodshed. The charges against Duterte sent a powerful message that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable power, the pursuit of justice can prevail. The ICC's intervention, though long in coming for many victims and their families, represented a glimmer of hope in the darkness. The world now watched as the legal process began to unfold, hoping that the charges against Duterte would mark a turning point for the fight against impunity globally. March 29, 2025, marked Rodrigo Duterte's 80th birthday, but this year, the celebrations were far from ordinary. As the former president spent his birthday behind bars in The Hague, events unfolded both near and far, reflecting the deep divisions his arrest had exposed within the Philippines and beyond. In The Hague, a crowd of Duterte supporters, many having traveled from the Philippines, gathered outside the ICC detention facility, waving Philippine flags and carrying banners proclaiming his innocence. Yet, even as Duterte's supporters celebrated his birthday with calls for his return, a different kind of gathering was taking place. On the other side of the world, in the Philippines and in cities across the globe, victims' families and human rights advocates held vigils and protests. These contrasting events, held on the same day, served as a stark reminder of the complex legacy Duterte had left behind. Looming large over Duterte's arrest and the charges against him was the specter of his signature policy, the war on drugs. Launched with much fanfare at the start of his presidency in 2016, the campaign promised to eradicate illegal narcotics and restore order to the streets. However, it quickly descended into a brutal crackdown, characterized by extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearances, and a climate of fear that permeated impoverished communities across the archipelago. Duterte's rhetoric, often laced with profanity and incitements to violence, created a permissive environment for human rights abuses. He openly encouraged police and vigilantes to kill drug suspects, promising them protection from prosecution. The result was a staggering death toll, with official figures admitting to over 6,000 killings, while human rights groups estimated the real number to be significantly higher. The ICC's investigation into the drug war, culminating in Duterte's arrest, brought the issue back into sharp focus. It forced the Philippines to confront the human cost of the campaign and to grapple with the legacy of violence and impunity that it had left behind. The arrest of Rodrigo Duterte sent shockwaves not only through the Philippines, but also through the intricate web of political alliances and family ties that have long shaped the nation's leadership. The implications of his detention reverberated most strongly within the corridors of power, where the delicate balance between the Duterte and Marcos families, two of the country's most influential political dynasties, was suddenly thrown into disarray. Duterte's successor, President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., initially faced criticism for his perceived hesitancy to cooperate with the International Criminal Court. However, the eventual arrest, carried out with Marcos Jr.'s tacit approval, signaled a potential shift in the political landscape. It suggested a willingness to distance himself from the controversial legacy of his predecessor, perhaps in a bid to bolster his own international standing. The arrest also had profound implications for Duterte's own family, particularly his daughter, Vice President Sara Duterte. Her staunch defense of her father, coupled with her own political ambitions, meant that the Duterte name and the political network it represented were far from finished. The arrest of Rodrigo Duterte had exposed the fault lines within the Philippine political landscape, leaving a void that ambitious actors both within and outside the established dynasties were eager to fill. The arrest of a former head of state is rarely a local affair, and Rodrigo Duterte's detention in The Hague was no exception. The news reverberated across the globe, eliciting a mix of reactions from world leaders, human rights organizations, and international legal experts. The response from the international community was largely one of cautious optimism. Human rights groups hailed the arrest as a victory for accountability and a testament to the power of international justice. The ICC's actions were seen as a powerful message to other leaders who might be tempted to engage in similar atrocities. However, not all reactions were positive. Some countries, notably China, expressed concern over the arrest, accusing the ICC of overstepping its bounds. The arrest also sparked debate within international legal circles about the ICC's jurisdiction and the challenges of prosecuting heads of state. The outcome of the legal proceedings against Duterte promised to have far-reaching implications, setting precedents for future cases and potentially shaping the future of international criminal justice. A significant layer of complexity surrounding Duterte's arrest stemmed from the Philippines' tumultuous relationship with the International Criminal Court. In 2019, at the height of international criticism over his bloody drug war, Duterte had unilaterally withdrawn the Philippines from the ICC. However, the ICC's mandate does not simply evaporate with a change of heart or a strongly worded statement. The court retains jurisdiction over crimes committed during a country's membership, meaning that Duterte's actions during the period when the Philippines was a party to the Rome Statute remained subject to scrutiny. Duterte and his legal team argued vehemently that the ICC had no right to try him, claiming that the Philippines had a functioning justice system capable of handling any allegations of wrongdoing. The court's decision to issue an arrest warrant for Duterte, despite the Philippines' withdrawal, sent a clear message that attempts to evade justice by severing ties with the ICC would not be tolerated. With Rodrigo Duterte now in the custody of the International Criminal Court, the wheels of justice began to turn, albeit slowly, and with no shortage of procedural hurdles. The initial appearance hearing, a crucial first step in the legal process, was eagerly awaited by both supporters and detractors of the former Philippine president. At the hearing, the prosecution laid out the charges against Duterte, presenting evidence they argued demonstrated his role in orchestrating a systematic campaign of extrajudicial killings. The defense, in turn, sought to discredit the ICC's case, arguing that the evidence was flimsy, politically motivated, and gathered through questionable means. The initial proceedings were just the tip of the iceberg in what promised to be a long and arduous legal battle. Meanwhile, Duterte remained defiant, railing against the ICC from his detention cell and vowing to fight the charges against him every step of the way. His legal team employed various delaying tactics, challenging the court's jurisdiction, questioning the admissibility of evidence, and filing numerous motions. As the legal battle dragged on, the question on everyone's mind was when, or even if, Duterte would ever return to the Philippines. The arrest of Rodrigo Duterte and his subsequent detention in The Hague marked the beginning, not the end, of a long and uncertain journey for the Philippines. The legal battle playing out in the hallowed halls of the ICC was just one facet of a larger reckoning, a societal grappling with the legacy of violence, impunity, and the erosion of democratic norms that had come to define the Duterte era. For the families of the thousands killed in the drug war, the arrest offered a glimmer of hope, a sign that justice, however long delayed, was not entirely out of reach. The arrest also presented an opportunity for the Philippines to confront its demons and begin the difficult process of healing and reconciliation. The outcome of the ICC's case against Duterte would undoubtedly have a profound impact on the Philippines. shaping its relationship with the international community, its commitment to human rights, and its very sense of itself as a nation striving for justice and accountability.